Okay, welcome, Audrey. This is so much fun to have you as a guest on our podcast. You have such an interesting story around learning about money, and I'm so grateful to be able to share this with our listeners because this is the stuff of real life. Like, this is actually what happens in people's lives when money impacts life circumstances also impact money and the trajectory for many years to come as a result of planning or not planning, etc. So I want to just invite you to start sharing a little bit about your journey. And first off, you mentioned how life can change overnight, right? We all know this. We've all been, we have experiences, but I wanted you to share a little bit and talk a little bit about that for our listeners and kind of share what that was like for you.
So life can change in any moment, and it's something that I didn't expect. I actually got married second time around to the most amazing person. I had a wonderful marriage. We were married for 9 years. We were together for 16. And what happened was we discovered that he had cancer, and it was something we thought, oh, we can beat this. And what happened is that we didn't. And so I became a widow at 49, something it was the last thing that I would have thought of. He actually had his own business, and I did a lot of traveling with him, and we had an amazing life. I mean, it was really, really special, and especially since it was second time around, it was like finally.
Mm-hmm. So how awful, how devastating. So you were together for 16 years, and then totally out of the blue, unexpected, he gets this awful diagnosis, and it ends up taking his life.
It ends up taking his life. By the time that we discovered it, it was terminal at that time, and so he was given a lifespan of 0 to 3 years, actually 0 to 10.
And so, what were your finances like before the diagnosis? And then when did you guys start talking about what finances would look like after?
So he had his own company, a large one with his brother in Portland. And our finances were pretty good. I mean, it was really good, actually. We had just bought a beautiful home, a gated area, and a gated community, and we had a huge house. 4,000 square foot house, and I mean, it really was gorgeous. And financially, he at that time had a lot of clients like Costco and so forth. He was a manufacturer sales rep, and so he had some big clients that he saw. So we were really busy with just keeping them, busy, keeping the business busy. But so financially, we were solid.
Mm-hmm. And you knew that, you had been a part of the financial conversations or not?
I had, but I was the one that was always doing the social events, so I kind of really relied on him.
So you were on the periphery, in a way, of the kind of larger financial picture of the two of you together as a couple, which, by the way, is extremely common, right? I mean, this is why we are so big on empowering women when it comes to money, because women typically take a backseat to the larger financial conversations within a couple or family, right? And that's how it was for you.
That's how it was, because
mm-hmm.
that's how I was raised. I was savvy enough to know that, all of the things, but I didn't look at investing. I didn't look at long term. I just looked at the day-to-day stuff. And kind of that was my role of moving through the finances and what we needed.
Right. So when he got diagnosed, was it at that point where he started opening up the conversation about your financial picture to you, or not even then?
Not even then, and I think we were so determined that we were going to beat this thing that we didn't even want to talk about that. We knew that we had enough. Unbeknownst to me, he'd actually taken out a life insurance policy.
Okay, hold on a second. You didn't have any idea.
No idea.
That he had a life insurance policy?
None. I had no idea. And even though I was working full time, and I was doing that because he had his own business, and so we needed insurance, medical insurance. And so really that was what I was contributing to our financial health, basically, was to make sure, because as a private business entrepreneur, that's usually a pretty big thing, and I had better access to it, so that's what we used. But I had no idea that he had created a life insurance policy So towards the end, when we could see that this was something that was going to happen, he said, here's what I've been paying on this. And so I said, oh. And I saw what he was paying, and I saw what it was going to be, and it was like, well, it's not going to happen, so I don't even need to really worry
Interesting.
about that. So it was denial up to the very last. I think I just really couldn't fathom that life would go on without him.
Of course.
So, but yes, we had a life insurance, and thank goodness. I mean, come to find out, it made a huge impact on how my life went forward.
Right, I'm sure. I mean, how many times do we see tragedies like this happen within families, and then there's a GoFundMe page, right?
Exactly.
And this is something that did not become a reality for you because of this life insurance policy that he took out, that he did not tell you about, you didn't know about, you didn't know he was paying for it, how long he had been paying for it, but all of a sudden it's there exactly when you needed it, right?
Exactly. And he finally, towards the very, last months, he said, I need to let you know this. And so
I wonder how many couples have this situation where there's a life insurance policy that the other person doesn't know about. It's curious.
It is curious.
When it literally saves people from financial ruin and devastation when there is a premature death in the family, right?
Right.
Seems like something that everybody in the family ought to talk about, know about, be involved in.
We don't talk about we don't talk about these things that are scary, and we were no exception.
Interesting.
So it was. And I didn't know how important it was to have until after he was gone. And I started to kind of come to my senses, because there's a whole period of time that you just don't think. And
right. You're mourning, of course.
Of course, but it's like your mind just shuts off. And that's the other thing, is if I'd have had to worry about that, I don't think that I would have had the wherewithal to worry about that too.
Absolutely.
I mean, going back to work, I just didn't. In fact, my job, because of the role that I had at my work, they were actually able to be very generous about a leave of absence, of just take that time to mourn.
Sure.
So I was really fortunate to have that. But still, with that, even think about how I was going to, cope the next couple months. I didn't have that.
And what would that have been like? Was that if the death benefit had not been there? How different would your life have been?
Well, I would have had to sell my house. I don't think that I would have had a wherewithal to know where retirement was at. I mean, he died at 54.
Wow.
Pretty young. I was 49. So we talked about a lot of things. We lived really well. We didn't save a lot, but we did have some. So if you were to look at it now, knowing what I know now, we would have really assessed what we were doing, and probably chosen not to spend as much as we were, because we just didn't pay attention to it. Let's say that. Most of us do. We just don't pay attention.
Yeah. And so that happened, and you were navigating that, and obviously had sort of an understanding or realization that the life insurance policy was critical to life beyond after his passing. So tell me a little more about the journey from that point in time to leading up to kind of now where you are, and you've already mentioned that had you known then what you know now. So did that start your journey toward learning more about money? You had to, right? You had to take over the finances.
I had to take over the finances.
And you'd never done that before, right?
Not
This
really.
is so common.
Not really.
Yeah.
Because we had been in the house for 3 years. It was, like I said, a large home, big investment for us. And so one of the things that I knew that money was there, and I didn't hesitate to draw on it when I needed it. So there was a lot of expenses that were coming through, and to be really frank, I didn't really care about the future because I was in mourning for a long period of time.
Sure, yeah.
And so if I spent some money traveling, I did it. If I went to Chicago like we used to do, I'd go. I go to all the places that I traveled to without even hesitation. I just say, let me go. I'm going.
So when did you start to understand and come to realize that, oh, I have to start learning about money and being responsible for my own financial well-being and my own financial future?
I'm kind of embarrassed to actually even say it, because it wasn't until I started to really look at not understanding what my financial advisor was sharing and seeing some market downturns. And I think one of the big parts was I was part of that 2008 downturn where I lost 40%.
Wow.
And, out of the amount that I got, it was a huge chunk. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, oh gosh, how am I going to recoup that? It started to finally dawn on me that I was vulnerable, that was going to be a challenge for me.
Right.
And so, but not understanding all of the drawdowns and so forth. And it just was not clear about the implications of what that was going to be. So I stayed in the house for 10 years, and I did. I pulled out a lot more money than I should have, could have. And then it started to dawn on me after I bought another house, sold that house, bought another house, and realized it was a rebuild. And so I invested a lot of money into that, and then realized what I had left was not going to have the drawdown that I wanted. Mm-hmm. And then finally it dawned on me that there was going to be an end to this money that I had come.
And during that time, was there anyone who was there to guide you through this, difficult navigation of mapping out a solid financial roadmap for yourself? I mean, you obviously had resources to direct in certain areas, like to secure your future and your retirement, etc. Who could you turn to during that decade of time?
So I did have an advisor, but here's the interesting thing I think a lot of us had grown up with is that my knowledge about money, my understanding about money was very emotionally charged. During my childhood, one of the things that I very distinctly remember is that once a month my father would go into the downstairs den, and he would spend all weekend working on the bills. And at that point, my siblings and I, my sisters and my brother, we knew that we just couldn't make any noise because it was very tense and it was very emotional. And we grew up in kind of a volatile situation. So when I thought about money, I thought about it's something that I didn't know how to do. I had that belief, and that it was emotionally charged. And you know what? Unfortunately, that emotion followed me throughout my years.
Isn't that interesting?
So when I can sit down and remember times that I was in the financial advisor's desk in her room, and she had a great expanse of windows in front of her. We could look out over the city, and all I could think of was like, I'm so anxious right now. I could feel sweat running down my arms. I couldn't hear anything that she was saying. All I could hear was small cap, big cap, and I had no idea what that even meant. So to me, it was like, I can't wait to get out of here. So
it's like a foreign language, isn't it?
It was a foreign language, plus when you're in fight or flight,
yeah,
you don't hear anything at all.
Right.
So I came from that kind of background, and then trying to do it myself, I didn't even know where to start. I was overwhelmed.
It's no surprise. It's not your fault. So many of us are in the same boat. We have messages from our money culture that we grew up with, and it's amazing. Like, you're so not alone. And I'm just curious, like, what was the turning point where you really stepped into your power, your own personal power around, your finances, and took the reins and started taking charge of your financial future?
I think actually I just got mad. That's what happened.
That could be a good motivator. Good motivator, right? It's a great motivator.
Thought, why am I perpetuating something that I know I'm smart and I know that I can figure this out. So, but I need to be educated, and I think that was the turning point for me, was understanding how money actually worked, and actually that it would work. I didn't have to work for it. It could work for me.
Yeah.
That was pivotal for me to understand that whole concept.
And these are simple concepts. It's just getting access to them, right?
Yeah.
So somehow you were able to draw it in because you knew there was more information out there that you didn't have access to, and you were able to find it.
And it was a discovery for me. It's like, this makes so much sense. It's so simple, and yet it's not. And then when you put a barrier in there that you have anxiety around something from some previous conditions or previous learnings, that can really interfere with what you're trying to accomplish, and feeling frustrated that, why am I not able to learn this? And sometimes it's just getting through that and working through.
Don't we always just feel like the thing standing in our way is our own?
It was myself.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Definitely me.
Right.
Even though I was so independent because I was on my own.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I was getting in my own way so many times.
Sure. Then we've all been there. And I just want to wrap up with just a little bit about your journey into entrepreneurship, and how does that play a part, do you think, in becoming more empowered around your financial future?
I think that this is a lesson that I could have used so many years ago. And I wanted to add, there was a period of time, because I held a job for 26 years, and then I was 59, and all of a sudden, I didn't have a job. We just parted ways, and I realized how vulnerable I was of not having something like that I could rely on for myself, that I was relying on another source for my income. So that was another thing that was just kind of an aha moment of me coming forward and going, I should be able to work for myself. And what has stopped me from doing that? Because that is such a freeing experience to know that. It's hard because I watched my husband for a number of years have his own business. It was super successful. But it's like, I can do that too. And so
I love it.
that's really losing the job, not having it fit anymore, and then realizing that I actually could do it myself.
And isn't it interesting that sometimes our hand is forced in that journey, because it takes a layoff.
It takes a layoff.
Right, to then say, you know what, forget it, I'm not going back to that, and I'm going to see what I can do on my own and as an entrepreneur, which is fabulous. It's so wonderful to hear. It's so inspiring, your journey. So many people can relate to it, and thank you for sharing. And we'll sign off for now. Yeah, absolutely. Great having you.
Thank
Bye.
you so much.